It's been more than 100 years since details of the scandal broke, and the details are still debated amongst baseball fans today. The Black Sox scandal of 1919 rocked the baseball world so much that a grand jury was convened to investigate the matter. 8 men were accused of accepting bribes to throw the World Series. These 8 players played for the Chicago White Sox, and the black cloud that hung over these players would lead this whole situation to be referred to as the Black Sox scandal. Joseph Jefferson Jackson was a hero to many. His high-quality play, including a lifetime batting average of .356, places him amongst baseball's greatest. As a matter of fact, in the 1919 World Series, the one in which he was accused of losing on purpose, he led in several categories of play. He would actually set a World Series record with 12 base hits. He had already built an impressive resume of stats before this. In 1911, his first full year, he set a number of rookie records, and even today, his batting average of .408 that season is still amongst the greatest ever. And by the time the 1919 Chicago White Sox faced the Cincinnati Reds in the World Series, they were heavily favored. $5,000. That was the amount that the players supposedly accepted to throw the series. That would be somewhere around $80,000 in today's world. It would be up to a grand jury to sort things out. Well, at first anyway. Although there is no account of this in the grand jury record, it was reported that when Joe Jackson testified, he stated that when a Cincinnati player hit the ball to him, he would fail to catch it and fumble around. The unusually high number of triples to Jackson in left field would point towards guilt. However, the jury would ultimately acquit Joe and the 7 other players of wrongdoing. However, the new commissioner of baseball at the time, Kennesaw Mountain Landis, would say that regardless of the verdict, nobody throws a baseball game. He would impose a lifetime ban on Shoeless Joe Jackson and the others. The Chicago Daily News would run a now famous headline, "Say it ain't so, Joe." And if I didn't tell you the rest of the story, Jackson did indeed look guilty, but it appears that the presumed guilt of Shoeless Joe Jackson by the commissioner may have been a bit premature. The story of Shoeless Joe Jackson is what brings me to Woodlawn Memorial Park in Greenville, South Carolina today. This story has long fascinated me, and the movie Field of Dreams introduced Shoeless Joe Jackson to a whole new demographic. Joseph Jackson was born in 1888 here in Greenville, South Carolina, and after the Black Sox scandal of 1919, he would return to his hometown. He would become a successful shop owner, running a dry cleaning business and also a liquor store. It was said that Shoeless Joe would play for some local teams, playing for free. He would pass away in 1951 at the age of 64 from a heart attack. And as I mentioned before, the proclamation and hard stance of the baseball commissioner may have indeed been harsh. Was Shoeless Joe Jackson truly involved? Or was he swept up in a controversy that was truly not of his making? The evidence is compelling. Long after he took off a pair of new cleats that were hurting his feet and played the game without them, earning him the nickname Shoeless Joe, Joe Jackson's involvement in the Black Sox scandal had just effectively ended his professional career. It wasn't enough to convince a jury of wrongdoing, but with the commissioner's ban, that didn't seem to matter. It was said that Jackson refused the $5,000 bribe on 2 different occasions. It was also said that Jackson tried to tell White Sox owner Charles Comiskey, but he refused to meet with Jackson. It was also said that Jackson was persuaded by team attorney to sign a waiver of immunity from prosecution. Some feel that the nearly illiterate Jackson was being taken advantage of by the team attorney, even using whiskey to have Jackson admit guilt to the grand jury. Why would the team attorney do that? Who knows? Maybe to keep the club's name clear? Not sure. It seems plausible. In the resulting years after the ban, the other players would confirm that Jackson was never at any of the meetings where the throwing was discussed. His stats, especially the offensive stats, would lend credibility that he was innocent. The U.S. House of Representatives would pass a resolution in 1999 commending Jackson's play and encouraged Major League Baseball to overturn the ban. Commissioner Bud Selig would say that the request was under review. No decision was made during his tenure. The Shoeless Joe Jackson Museum would request another review in 2015 to Commissioner Rob Manfred. He would ultimately side with the original decision. And to this day, Shoeless Joe Jackson remains banned from Major League Baseball. And now we are here in Greenville, South Carolina, to pay our respects to Shoeless Joe Jackson. Just a few thoughts from me. I'm a huge fan of the movie Field of Dreams and became familiar with his story from that movie. As far as his guilt goes, I see evidence that could support both claims, but there's no doubt of his skill and his ability, and I think there's enough of a doubt that the ban should be lifted. Shoeless Joe Jackson, it's an honor to visit your grave today. And I would love to hear from you all out there. Have you heard the story of Shoeless Joe Jackson before? Leave a comment with your thoughts. I would love to hear from you. For more cemetery visits and videos, please subscribe and join me for more. Once again, from Woodlawn Memorial Park in Greenville, South Carolina, I will see you again soon.